Well, Dr. Tunji Abayomi joins us next. He's a legal practitioner. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you.
Well, all this argument in the public about the preparations for the elections, first, it has to do with the TVC, beg your pardon, even the TVC, then the permanent voter card, which INEC says, look, if you don't have it, I'm afraid you will not be allowed to vote. And then now they've done mock tests of the card readers. They've noticed some areas that they can improve upon. But you still have voices out there saying, look, they're not sure if they should deploy those card readers. But INEC on their own part says, look, we will ensure we have credible elections. What do you think of all of this?
Well, first and foremost, in my view, politicians are creating too much tension for election in this country. And as a consequence, they're actually drawing unnecessary negative attention to Nigeria, because the world is actually concerned without any reason, really. In my view, we should be able to conduct election. We cannot have a nation where everything is impossible, including simple election. The truth of the matter is that in this country, the leaders need to adopt a simple policy. Let the winner win fairly. Let the loser lose justly. Let the winner win fairly and let the loser lose justly. Now, it's important for us to appreciate that the power to conduct elections is exclusively that of INEC. I call it the OUS powers conferred by the Constitution.
OUS?
OUS powers.
What would the OUS?
Now, you wonder what that means. The Constitution empowers INEC to organize, to undertake, and to supervise all elections.
But not to disenfranchise the electorate.
Well, now we're talking about conduct of election now. Now, the issue is, you cannot actually accuse INEC of differentiating. We have a problem with that word. I think the last time I was here, I had a problem with that word too. There's no, because you cannot accuse anybody with that intent. In law, before you can make an accusation against a person, you must have intent and act. There must be a perverse intent.
Okay, well, here's the thing. We have many who have written in here, and they said, look, I've been to my polling unit with my temporary voter card more than 4 times.
Yes.
And all the time that I go there, besides the fact that, they say the officials are not exactly polite to them, but they keep telling them, I'm afraid you have to call back to see if your PVC has been printed. In some cases, they tell them it's not been printed. Yes. And then they wonder, look, if I have to come here 4 or 5 times, look, and then elections should have held February 14.
Yes.
So at that time, they will not have voted, because if they don't have it till date, doesn't that underscore or demonstrate clear intent to disenfranchise them?
It demonstrates imperfection. We are in a period of testing. That's the reality. There's a need to be a little patient with INEC. We are transmitting from a sort of a raw system where you use papers and people just snatch the ballot boxes. You might say the state of nature to the state of civilization, so to say. So we're actually in a period of testing. The pressure on INEC has even reduced its capacity to attend to these problems. People accuse, you see the type of accusation, it's embarrassing sometimes. INEC, the head of INEC, is a very responsible person. We have been in this struggle for democracy, and his commitment to have a free and fair election is not something that is unquestionable. But you need to assist this organization in the process. So if you go 4 times, and INEC hasn't told you that you cannot go back, so go the 5th time. You know, you understand what I mean?
With your OUS analogy, which is very important here, organize, undertake, and supervise.
Yes.
How do we, as citizens, qualified to vote assist INEC without trying to interfere in its business?
No, you mean the people trying to interface? Or
Yeah,
interfere?
no, I'm saying that if you say we have to help INEC here as a
Yes,
people,
yeah.
I'm saying that how do we do that without trying to, jeopardize its independence?
Well, the way to do it basically is, you take it from the National Assembly. Money should be provided early in anticipation of election. The second thing is that the structure should, for example, they can conduct a hearing to see its preparedness. They represent the people. These are the sort of thing, and then we should reduce all these accusations, and so on, the tension. How do you emotionally deal with a very complex issue like election as an organization? And how many people are actually in INEC?
I asked that question against the backdrop of arguments on the use of the card reader.
Yes.
Whether it is in our own powers as electorates or political parties to suggest to INEC what the elections or the way the elections can go. If, for instance, we say we don't want the card readers to be used for this particular election, do we have that?
No, we cannot. We don't have that power. Nobody has that power. Constitutionally, the organization of election is the prerogative of INEC. As a matter of fact, if the National Assembly makes a law specifying how election should be conducted, INEC can disregard it. INEC can disregard it. The point I'm making is that, for example, INEC can say that that law is inconsistent with the Constitution. Because the power to organize, to undertake, and to supervise is not limited. It's not even defined. The only thing is that the National Assembly can make additional laws in order to help INEC to achieve those ends. In other words, it's just like the president has the power to command the armed forces. And then you now say that, you have to do it in this, you have to command in this particular way. That's not, the power is vested in INEC.